I have hit just over 7 million in my business from the start to date. And the way I did that was because I did a couple of things differently. And today I want to share with you some of these things that I did differently. Now, the thing is, you don't need to reinvent the wheel, and you don't really need to be some kind of a genius or have an MBA, even though I do have one in full transparency. You don't need all of these things. You just need to find out what works for you and the things you can do differently that can work for you. So let's dive in. Here are the 9 things that I did differently the past couple of years. And by the way, this is the first time that you see my face. Hello, my name is Ayu, and I own a couple of companies in different industries. I've generated over 7 million in the past few years. I've also coached more than 5,000 women, and I have accumulated more than 500 million in client growth. Basically, all I do is about business. This is the most important thing in my life and the most important thing that I do every single day. And so here are the 9 things that I did differently to have this success in my business. So the first one was to choose the right business model very consciously. So a lot of business owners get into business and they think that I'm gonna get into business, I'm gonna become an entrepreneur just because I love doing this and this and this. Now, here's what you need to know. That doesn't always work. So if you get into business, if you get into entrepreneurship and you want to scale, and if you want to make a lot of money, but what you do is you do it based on passion or maybe on knowledge or some kind of an experience, it might not work. So what you actually want to do is you want to choose the right business model, because the right business model is going to help you scale. And also, to be honest with you, it's going to make your life so much easier. You're gonna thank me later. You're gonna say, Ayu, thank you so much for telling me to choose the right business model. Now, especially if you're a woman, this is extremely important, and people don't talk about this enough. We need to talk about more about choosing the right business model, because I've seen a lot of really successful, talented, brilliant women, but you know what they do? They choose the wrong business model, and that literally sabotages and kills their growth, their revenue, and to be honest with you, their health as well. So super important, make sure that you choose a scalable business model. I did that from the start, and thank God that I did it, because this really allowed me to have the results that I have today without going mental. So this is what I want you to do. In order for you to choose the right business model, what you have to do is to ask 3 questions. There's 3 key questions. Question number 1 is, what kind of business do I actually want to run every single day? You gotta be with this every single day. This is as important as choosing your husband or your partner. Choose the right business model, because you're gonna be with this every single day. Number 2 is, what kind of lifestyle do I want this business to give me? And so for me, what was really important was that this business, whatever it is, it's going to give me location freedom. So anything that is brick and mortar, although I do own one business that is brick and mortar, however, it is a family business, so I don't have to be there. Anything that keeps me stuck to one location is a hard pass for me. All of my businesses besides this brick and mortar business is not tied to a location. By the way, that's one of the reasons why I also sold all of my properties. I was also in the real estate business, but to be honest with you, even though I had great managers, it was annoying. So I didn't want to be stuck in that business model. Third question is, what do I want to be known for in the following 5 to 10 years? Yes, the following 5 to 10 years. You know, people underestimate the power of 5 to 10 years. They overestimate 1 year. Everybody thinks they can do a lot of things in 1 year based on working with more than 5,000 women. That's not true. Actually, 1 year goes by super fast. And a lot of people, when I ask them, do you have a business plan plan for the next 5 to 10 years, they tell me things like, oh, that's too far away. It is, but it's not. So make sure that whatever you choose and you stick to, it is the spiel, the thing that people know you for in the next 5 to 10 years. Now, yesterday, for example, I was one of my favorite Facebook groups for female entrepreneurs, and I saw this woman who a couple of years was sharing that she's making 6 figures every single month. And all of a sudden, yesterday, I saw a post of her saying that she's not making money anymore in her business and she's struggling a lot. And I actually predicted that when she wanted to work with me. She didn't sign up to work with me. 2-3 years ago, we had a conversation and I told her, I have the feeling that this success that you have right now is not going to last for too long, because the strategies that you're using right now, jumping from one niche to another niche, from one topic to another topic, that is not going to last forever. By the way, remember back in the days, you could be an expert in everything around COVID. That's not the case anymore. So for all of these years, I've been doing this for more than 13 years, and all of these 13 years, I focused on sales, marketing, branding, making more money, business. So I didn't all of a sudden start speaking about somatic practices, or I didn't start speaking about perimenopause, menopause. I did speak about the importance of hormones, of health, of how energetically you feel, about mindset, but I wasn't portraying myself as an expert in all these fields. In fact, for example, very often women who I coach, they come to me and they start sharing things about their personal life and their relationships, even though I love them so much. And I say this even in my book right there, The Future of Business is Female. Even though for women this is so important, I'm not an expert in relationships. I'm not a therapist. I cannot help you with that, but I can help you with other things in your business. So make sure that instead of claiming yourself to be an expert in everything, this is so common, focus on some things. And I think that was one of the things that I stood out in the industry, and people were forwarding people to me because they knew what I'm doing. Do you know how often I speak to people and I mention, for example, someone, and they say things like, I don't really know what this person is doing. And that is very common. So number 2 is I built systems and foundations extremely early. So when I started scaling, there was a huge trend in the coaching industry. It was almost like people were burning other people on the stake for having funnels, having structures, having email lists. Everybody was like, kumbaya, and let's have fun and energy and all of that. I love it. I am a huge believer that energetics are extremely important. However, what is really important is to have a structure. So I actually created a structure very early on. I almost pushed myself to do it. I forced myself to do it. And the reason why I did that was because I knew that as I grow, a system is going to determine everything. So what's very important is don't wait until you scale, until you grow and make all the money to create a system in your business and to structure the business. This is what I see all the time, especially with female entrepreneurs, because of this almost like mantra in the coaching space of business coaches saying that you don't need this, you don't need this, you don't need this. I'm like, this is literally the foundations of the house. How are you gonna build your empire? Everybody wants to build an empire. Nobody wants to build the structure and the foundation. I know it's not sexy, boo-boo, but you have to do it. So build the foundations early. Do you know how many women I coached? So many. In fact, this morning, I actually had a conversation with one of them. She is a multi-millionaire. Like this woman, she's over 60 something. She has made so much money in her life with a couple of the businesses that she has. But she's so all over the place. I have no idea, to be honest with you, how she made it. And the past 3 years, because things have changed so much in business, in different industries, she is actually having to shut down a couple of the companies. Yeah, because it was the fact that there were no systems in place. So don't do that. Number 3 is I listened to all of the experts, but I was very conscious what I'm picking up as an advice, okay? So for example, I've hired so many coaches, and there were some things that I knew I could implement in my business, and there were some things I could not. And instead of judging them and saying that their coaching is not working, actually I thought to myself, okay, what could I apply? What would work in my business and what wouldn't? And the next thing that I did was I actually was very quick to pivot. Now, when I say that, I mean if I choose a plan, if I choose a strategy, if I choose to do something in a certain way, and then all of a sudden I notice that this is not working, and even though we give it some time, it's not working, I wasn't afraid to pivot and to be flexible and to change things fast. Now, for example, I have clients who come to me and they say, well, I haven't had sales in 1 year. And I'm like, what have you been doing in 1 year if something hasn't worked in 90 days? The old way of posting, your ads, your launches, your email, your campaign. If things are not working, the products, in 90 days, you don't get results, it's time to pivot. I'm not saying that you need to drop the ball and completely redo things, but it is time to pivot. Number 4 is I stayed consistent and clear on my positioning, which brings me back to what I discussed with you. I wasn't just changing what I'm talking about based on the trends. I knew what is making me different. I knew what I'm an expert on. I knew what is my power, and I focused on that for a very long period of time. In fact, I'm going to be very honest with you here. There was a time a couple of years ago when some of the things that I was teaching weren't that sexy. For example, I continued teaching hardcore sales and hardcore marketing and branding and structures and systems. And when I say hardcore, I don't mean just the trendy, fluffy stuff. I was teaching really psychology, selling psychology, how you should be writing content just the way I was taught. I mean, I've spent so many years in my bachelor and master degree learning these things. And even though it wasn't trendy, there were so many of these trendy things, I said, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to focus on what I know works in the long term. And I think that my audience really loves that, because when I get people to work with me, they literally say, I come to you because you are no bullshit. I know you're going to teach me what I need to know about business. So do that. Number 5 is I price with intention and not emotionally. So I have been judged for this, that my pricing, even though I have achieved so many results, I've created so much financial success, and I've coached some of the top entrepreneurs, startups, and companies in the world, I continued charging fair, and I continued keeping my prices not inflated. And that played such an incredible role, especially when everybody in the sun, under the sun, and their uncle, there was a point where they were charging in my industry these crazy prices that when you look at them, you're like, this is crazy. I also was not afraid to do a lot of low ticket sales, a lot of low ticket items, which by the way was so smart, because that was one of the things that really catapulted my business 3 to 4 years ago when I finally mastered low ticket digital products. It was incredible, but I'm going to speak about that in another training because we have so much today going on. But yes, when you start pricing, yes, I do understand the high ticket psychology, the strategy behind that. But when you position yourself, please don't listen to people who tell you to charge based on the fact that you're worth it. We all know that you're worth it. A price cannot validate your worth, okay? We all know that. Your pricing also shouldn't be the cheapest. That's another thing. I see people charging so low, and it, as me as a buyer, I'm not convinced I want to buy it. I'm like, especially for when you trade your one-on-one time, or when you are there. If it's a digital product, if it's something that obviously it makes sense, yes, sure. But if you offer a whole week coaching with you for $97, I'm concerned. what's happening. I'm just concerned. It doesn't make sense. Your price is part of your marketing and part of your branding. So please be mindful about that and price in a way that it doesn't come from your ego. It comes from reasoning. I will say that, and I will leave it here. If you want to judge me, judge me. Another thing that I did is I became a true expert in business. So going back to what I said when I started this is that a lot of people go into business just because they think first it's going to be fun. It's not fun. Okay, listen. I don't know how to tell you this. Entrepreneurship has been so glamorized. After some time, it gets easier. But it's not the easiest thing on planet Earth. Every entrepreneur, successful one, who doesn't want to sell you courses. I do sell courses, by the way, and I'm honest. It's not easy, okay? So when you step into business, you need to understand business. It blows my mind when I work with business owners and they don't know basic things. How much money they make? Where's the money coming from? Is this revenue, gross profit? What are the margins? KPIs are not there. What is simple things? This is crazy. Like, become an expert in business as well. Understand business. Even to date, I read every single week at least one book on business, whatever it is. It could be on marketing, it could be on scaling, it could be on branding. I will read one book, and basically pretty much that I listen to is podcasts or videos on business, just because I know that even though I know so much, I have an MBA, I have so many certifications, I know that business is also a living thing. It's changing. Things are changing in the world. So having a passion is not enough. You need to understand business. So important. Number 7 is I always gave my absolute best. For me, this is very important. I am in an industry, a couple of my businesses, there are in industries where trust and the lifetime value of a client is the most important thing. So for me, retention is extremely important. In fact, I have anywhere between 95 to 98% retention of clients. One of the reasons why I didn't have to become viral, to this date, I don't have viral videos. I don't have a huge following. I don't even run ads. The reason this happened is because from the start, I made it a priority to overgive. Now, overgive, of course, from the space of I feel good as well. So I don't want to cross my boundaries as well. I'm great with boundaries. All of my clients know that, but I overgive. And I'm there for my clients, especially for long-term clients. For example, I had a client who had a cancer this year. She received this really challenging diagnosis, and I flew to see her because I didn't want her to be alone. I've picked up the phone at midnight. When I see a client giving me a call, I'm like, wait, what is going on? That's not normal that this client is calling me. There was a serious crisis situation. I've been with people. I've been next to them. I've listened to people going through heartbreak, even though maybe as a business coach, this is not my role, or as an agency owner. Like, I'm doing your funnels. Maybe holding your hand while you're going through heartbreak is not an expert in that. But as a human being and as a woman, this is so important. And so I think that's why people stayed for such a long time. Now, of course, I always say that you can have the best intentions to serve someone and to help them, and things can go wrong on both ends. Like, sometimes I've had clients where something happened in the communication, in the synergy and how we work together, and even though both sides have had the best intentions, something happened. But I think that one of the main reasons things work so well for me is because I truly give. Like, I overgive. I don't remember having a call when I had to cut off the call and end the call. I don't remember doing that, okay? When we had, like, we're past the call. And I think this is important. I think this is really important. I think it's important to, yes, create boundaries, but also to support people and be there for people. And of course, as I said, sometimes things wouldn't work as planned. Now, the Second last thing is I stayed a student. I always learn new things constantly. I'm always curious. What I notice with a lot of business owners who have scaled to a certain point, they have become successful, they become a little bit arrogant because they think they know it all. And I work with people like that. They come to me and they think they know it all. Oh, I don't need this. Oh, I don't need these templates. And then I show them things and they're like, wait. Wait, I need to implement this. I don't have this. So stay curious, always learn new things, be flexible. This is so important. And then the last thing is I promoted myself. I spoke about myself. When I am in networking meetings, or I'm around people, or I'm at the bar, or I'm having lunch, or I'm traveling. By the way, I travel so much and I land clients literally the person sitting next to me. That happens so often. In the airport, in the business lounge, everywhere. When people ask me, how do you get clients? I get clients everywhere because I speak about what I do. And I think that comes with this. And I think this is really important. When you believe in what you do, the service that you offer, the product that you have, the business that you have, when you believe the thing is good, you can't stop talking about it, especially when you know it will help people. And my intentions are always the best. As I told you before, that I do everything possible that I could do as a human. Of course, I make mistakes. I learn. Sometimes I don't show up the way I wanted to show up based on my emotions. I'm still learning emotional intelligence, even though I spend so much time improving that. But here's one thing that I notice with women specifically. Women are terrified to promote. And I'm gonna call you out because a lot of you are hypocrites. Because a lot of you say that you want to empower women and you're all about female empowerment and women in business. But when a woman messages you and tells you, hey, this is my offer, you try to make her feel guilty and to shame her. Why are you messaging me? Now, I understand if it is a fake account and it seems dodgy and somebody's trying to schedule 17 appointments with you, and you know Jane Wood is not Jane Wood, but it's someone from Pakistan maybe. I get it when that happens, but when you see it's a legit real woman showing up in your DMs, telling you something about her work, or you see her on the street, or you pass by her shop and she says, hey, this is my shop, come and see it. What I have, support her. If you have a friend who's a business owner, support her. This is so important. And the most important part is, if a woman promotes herself, don't belittle her, encourage her. Maybe she didn't have the perfect pitch. Maybe she didn't put you in a nurture sequence. Maybe she wasn't there to take you on a dinner and wine and dine you and buy you flowers. What do you expect, Karen? But the thing was, she had the guts to do it. Do you know how much that takes? And I see this with girls. I see girls, little girls, teenagers, being so ashamed to speak about what are they good at. And it's because of that, because we put women down. If a dude does that, and I am in rooms with dudes all the time, they're not afraid to brag about themselves. And that speaks a lot about itself. So these are the 9 things that I think I did very differently, and they really helped me to scale to over 7 million. And I think in the future, these are going to be also the things that will continue helping me to grow. Now, my suggestion is, if you want to apply these to your business, just have a look at these 9 things. And then assess where you can implement these in your business, where you can dial in a little bit more. And sometimes when you are so zoomed into your business, it's difficult to see that, and maybe you need the help of someone, maybe you need to have a session with someone or a business audit. Do that. Sometimes you need the eyes of someone else to check out what you're doing and tell you, hey, you can actually use this to your advantage. This is your edge. This is how you do things different. Just hone on to that. Or maybe you need to pivot somewhere or change something. And so if you have any questions, I highly encourage you that you leave a comment, you you put your questions as a comment right underneath this. I will make sure that I will get back to you. And last thing, if you are an entrepreneur and you want to grow your revenue, you want to scale, you want to have more success in your business, I have actually created a free community where I teach so much, I give so much value, I give a lot of free trainings. If you want to share it, the link will be somewhere there. You can find the link as well. I'm gonna leave you with this. The most important part of scaling a business is also to have a lot of fun. So have a lot of fun, enjoy the process, and have more pleasure in your life. I hope that you love this.